Good Monday evening, Pitt State football fans. Welcome to Chatter's Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburg. Eddie Lomshek indeed, along with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck. Great week to be a Gorilla as the football season does continue. And so hopefully we'll have a couple of more weeks of this particular program. Pitt State 41-16 at home over Northwest Missouri in the national quarterfinals, and proving that the game at Arrowhead was indeed not a fluke. Gorillas get their second win of the season over the Bearcats and starting to tip the scales back in our favor. But more importantly, the season extends. So, Coach, you look at that, and it's, on one hand, you kind of get frustrated. You get to the Final Eight, and you still haven't played anybody from outside of the conference. But, how concerning is it to try and beat a team twice in 1 year?
Well, everybody, and we talk about it. It is tough to beat somebody twice. But like we said last week, we told our players a couple different times, Once we get the ball kicked off on Saturday, whatever's happened beforehand really doesn't matter. And unfortunately, we got down 10-0. But the resilience of our kids and how hard they're playing and how they don't panic, they hang in there and they play by play. That's probably the thing that we're proudest most from our coaching standpoint is the fact that we've got them. Our kids have completely bought into everything, and they play as hard as they can possibly play every play.
Well, another day, another weather element to deal with. Fortunately, it wasn't the cold and wind as in Washburn. It was rain. It was nonstop. And so we talk a lot. You obviously have to stay informed of that stuff because it can change your thinking from the opening coin toss. But when you start talking about a wet ball, very few things become routine.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we talked all week about how important it was going to be for us to take care of the ball and not have any turnovers. And Zach did a nice job a couple of times of getting rid of the ball when we didn't have anything there, went ahead and threw it out of bounds. And that's something that's really hard for him to do. And he's, really matured as far as understanding when to do that, when to get rid of it. And, give our backs a lot of credit. Our backs carried the ball, did a great job of hanging on to it. We got one or two knocked out from Zach, as he's going down, which were questionable. But the bottom line, in getting through that game with no turnovers, that was definitely in our favor.
Yeah, when you play a team like that and you know what they're capable of on offense, you hate to give them any extra plays. Where does turnover margin rank in criteria?
It's got to be one of the top two or three things, that you look at. And, you have 2 or 3 turnovers and not only that, and you're minus 2 or 3 compared to the other team, then you're probably not going to win. And that's what happened to Northwest. That's part of what happened to Northwest. So what else happened was our players played really hard, and our defense is playing outstanding. And offensively, we had 260-plus rush and pass, which that kind of balance, makes us pretty tough to defend.
You ever simulate things in the middle of the week, with a wet ball? Do you ever make kids practice with a wet ball?
No, we really don't. We just try to take care of it the best we can in practice and make sure they understand. And there are a lot of times I hear our coaches correcting kids during practice when they see air between them running and not having it, tied up against their chest and stuff. So, we're kind of talk about it all the time, but we don't practice with a wet ball.
And then you get into just the mental toughness it takes, or the focus, whatever you want to call it, that you go out there for warm-ups and it's pouring a couple of times, but, that's out of your control. So what's it say just about mental toughness to block that out?
We kind of talked about it from the week before, that we felt like no matter what, we kind of talked about it on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, kind of because we could kind of see it coming, with the rain. But said no matter what, the weather's going to be to our advantage. And our kids bought into that, and no matter what happens, it's going to be to our advantage because we're mentally tougher right now than anybody that will play.
The wind, not quite as big a factor, and there were times it was blowing a little bit, but, boy, you lose the opening coin toss, and you're at your own 15 and a 3-and-out. So how concerning was the field position in the first quarter?
Yeah, it was very concerning. We're not very happy with our kickoff return team right now. We just feel like we've got to do a better job of getting some blocks up there and getting better field position to start off with. We got 2 really good return guys, and it's kind of been an all or none with our return right now. So that's something that we have to improve on this week. And you don't have many choices on kickoff return. If you're not a really good pooch team, then you've got to kick it deep. And when you're kicking from the 30-yard line, unless there's a strong wind, it's probably not going out of the back of the end zone. So they're going to have a chance to return. And we got 2 good return guys, and we've got to do a better job with that team.
Well, the field position, and of course for years you were a play caller and still involved in the discussion. Even though it's early in the game, talk about your mindset when you're inside your own 20.
Yeah, we were inside our own 23 times, I think, early on, and Coach Rampy actually wanted to change one of our series plays, and I went ahead and said, let's go ahead and do it, even though we were on the 6 or 7 yard line. I thought it's when Zach pulled it down and ran it, I think our second series, and it's things like that you don't see. That again, that was a tremendous decision by Zach to pull it down and run it, because something bad could have happened if he'd thrown it after they had too many people there. So there's just a lot of things that that people don't see sometimes that are really good decisions that our players make.
Well, that was one of them, and a lot of things stand out to me about that first quarter because of field position and how that one could have gotten a lot worse on the scoreboard than it did early. We need to take our first break. When we come back, we'll delve into that opening period of the win over Northwest. That and more when we return with Coach Tim Beck, presented by CDL Electric. Welcome back to the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek and Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck live at Chatter's Restaurant and Bar. We'll be here next Monday. We know for sure. Hopefully the one after that as well. Out of the break, we like to draw a $25 gift certificate here to Chatter's and the House of Wings, courtesy of Ahmad and his staff. Dine-in only, includes a drink, expires at the end of the calendar year. So need to get here in a hurry. Jack Lane, come on down there and take your prize. So we'll do that out of a couple more breaks and give everybody a chance to win here. Make sure you sign up, put your name in the bucket. Coach Beck's not doing a very good job of mixing it up and drawing out of there. So, well, Coach, talk about that. You lose the opening kickoff, and it looked like a little hesitation there on the part of John Thomas to whether or not to bring it out.
Yeah, he did hesitate a little bit, and that's a decision you got to make. You got to make a split decision and go with it. And it's one of those things. If you go back to get it in the end zone, you can kneel on it. And he wasn't sure, exactly what yard line he was, so he felt like he had to bring it out. So hesitated a little bit, brought it out, and again, that's part of the reason our protection wasn't as good, because it took too long.
Well, and it's after they go right down the field, an impressive opening drive. You talk about them and their explosiveness and their verticals out of play action, but they do this all on the ground. How concerning does it become if they're able to run the ball?
Well, yeah, there's no question. And the last 3 or 4 games of the season, their running backs have really played well, and they'd rushed for a lot of yards. So it was concerning that, how are we going to be able to stop them on the ground? And but I tell you what, number 9, he's not too shabby, and he's pretty shifty. And so, we had to gang tackle him. And eventually we got to where we had a lot of people there, and it made a difference. Yeah,
you told me that in pregame. That's one thing you really had to do is get a lot of people to the ball and make sure you get a hold of them. I think Franklin's a better back, but is it a big difference with he or Simmons in there?
Yeah, I think as the seasons went, I think, James is a really good player. Simmons is fast, though, probably faster, and he's one of those, if he breaks it, he's going to go the distance. But James is just one of those, he's just hard to get a hold of, and he can make something out of nothing. And he did that a couple of times, and his touchdown run was a pretty phenomenal run. He's just really shifty, and, boy, you've got to get people to him. If not, he's really hard to tackle in the open field one-on-one.
Yeah, and they're both built just in a way. It's hard to square them up and get a real big hit on them, and of course, that low center of gravity, all of that. So you do that, you go 3 and out. Jake Craig had a good day punting the ball, but when you're punting your first 2 or 3 times and he's standing inside the 5, field position's a big concern. So they get it at their own 40. How big was it to stop them and make them punt? They kind of look like they're going to go for it before the quarterback pooches it down there.
Yeah, it was a big stop. Again, 2 or 3 things happened early, and one of them stopping them there, and then the other one getting them just to kick a field goal and holding them to 10 instead of 14. Those were big things. And like you said, Jake Craig, I just thought his punting and the weather that we had the other day and a couple of rugby punts, I thought it was phenomenal. He really did a good job, because Simmons is scary. If he gets like John Brown, if he gets the ball in the open field, you really worry about having to cover against him. And so his placement where he put it and how far he punted it was really excellent.
Hang time was good. Yeah, Simmons, 4 total returns for touchdowns this year between kickoffs and punts. So you're pinned inside your own 5, another 3 and out. You talk all the time about needing to run plays so you can see what the defense does to adjust to it. And your first 2 series, 3 and out. Your third one, 4 and out. So 10 total plays in 3 series, not where you want to be.
No, not at all. And again, it's you got to give the defenses a lot of credit, but we've just got to try to get off to a better start. And then I think for the game, then we, you look at our series, and then we were really good after that. But the beginning of the game, we're just, maybe we're spending too much time on our early script. Maybe we need to let the players call it or something. But we got to do something a little bit different.
That brings up the point. You obviously look at it. You try and look at a team. You know one another very well. You script certain things. You're a lot of two-play package teams, and you adjust. But are there certain teams, I guess, their identity just that for whatever reason they're not as good out of the chute as they are going the distance?
It's part of that. And the other thing, the weather did affect one of our plays. We ran the comeback route to John Brown and had him open. But again, we threw the ball and it floated on Zach a little bit, and you could tell it was wet when it came out of his hand. It was floated on him a little bit and just went out of bounds. And if we catch that and get a first down, then it changes.
Who knows? Yeah.
Changes everything a lot. So it's just one of those things. You got to get that first down, and sometimes it's hard to do.
Well, and I thought a big thing in the first meeting with them, even though you're down 21-0 big, your two drives that result in field goals take 12 minutes off the clock. They completely dominate that time of possession, number of plays in the first quarter. You turn around. What win there was is at your back. But even after you punt the third time, you hold them on downs. How big of a lift is that to your team when your defense makes that play?
No question. Obviously, it's huge. Had some huge stops defensively and just some really great plays by our defense. And again, one of the top things about our team right now is they're extremely unselfish. And so when you talk to the defensive guys and say, hey, you did a great job of getting pressure with the defensive line, and all those kids will say, well, we covered real well in the secondary. And the secondary kids, you say, hey, you did a great job of covering, and they'll say, well, our defensive line is getting great penetration, and they're very disruptive. And so then kind of in between that, you got Nate Dreiling, who's about everywhere he needs to be. He got another pick the other day, and that's his 6th of the year, which is phenomenal for an inside linebacker. So you throw it all together, and we're just pretty solid on defense.
Boy, playing well right now. You finally get on the board there early in the second quarter, a 10-play, 70-yard drive. Mandel Dixon again and plunges in. He would end up with another short one. So, he's become a goal line option for you. But bottom line, that was a very nice methodical drive, and I'm sure you felt like you really needed that after the 3 and outs early.
Absolutely. Then you get to the point where you have a couple of 3 and outs, and then their offense goes on some drives, and now it starts concerning me because I know that we need to get some drives going to give our defense some time to get a break. That's part of it as well. And it takes effect on their defense as far as you drive on them and kind of start wearing them out a little bit. So, again, we've done a pretty good job for the most part of complementing each other offensively and defensively. And the other way to look at it is when one of us is not doing real well, the other one's found a way to lift the other one up.
Yeah, this is a team that complements each side of the ball. I think outstanding. You look at that, and your touchdown, their next 2 series are 3 and outs. You turn it over on downs. Eventually you get the field goal late in the first half. But, gosh, with a long snap and having to hold it, that's, a short field goal, but it's not a given.
No, it's not a given. And I thought that was, Jake Craig was our special teams player of the week because of the way he punted. Chase McCoy was another one, though. He did a great job. A couple of field goals that were huge at the times. And the snap and the hold was very good. The protection, one time we got pretty good penetration, but we didn't get them blocked or anything. So, that's a tough job for those O-linemen up there. We've got to be very, solid on that. But, again, it's not like you can just take them for granted because they're tough, and especially when the weather conditions were the way they were, it makes it even tougher.
And for the way the game started down 10-0 to get it 10-10 at halftime and back where neither team had an upper hand, I guess, what was your mindset at the intermission there?
Well, we thought we had a chance to go up 14-10, but really being down 10-0 and then being able to tie it up, I just felt like the momentum was definitely in our favor.
I don't know if it was on a scoring drive, but how about the catch by Briston Kelly in that first half?
It was a great it was a third down catch, and it was a great catch. And it was, he's 6'6" with long arms, and the ball was up and behind him a little bit, and he went up and got it. And, he had 2 catches, and that was the best one of the day. But they were both of them extended our series.
Drives, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty big. I was asked earlier by a listener, he wanted me to ask you that you have been a team that obviously not how you want to get out of the gate, but second half have been much better. he asked you to go through the process of what you guys do at halftime as far as how you meet and then how you start applying adjustments.
Yeah, usually when we go in at half, right when we go in, we get all the kids together, and I visit with them as a group just for a little bit. So the offensive and defensive coaches go in their separate rooms, and they start talking about their adjustments. And so, I go talk to the team a little bit about what's happened and what we need to do, and it's going to be our choice coming out. We're going to take the ball, and this is what we need to do. It's just a short 2 or 3 minutes probably. And and then send the defense back over to their side, and then I'll go in and visit with the offensive coaches. Coach Wiemers takes care of the defensive side with the defensive coaches. I'll go in and talk to the offensive coaches a little bit, and it's pretty intense, really, because we're going through all of our stuff that we have put together and all our plays, and there's always so many things that you haven't got to yet, and you've got to determine by personnel groups what you're going to do, by formations what you're going to do, what we're going to come out of the half with, what we're going to start with. So everybody's talking at a pretty rapid pace, and we're trying to put together what we feel like gives us our best chance in the second half. And so as soon as we kind of go through that as an offensive and defensive staff, then Coach Wiemers will go out and talk to the defense, and Coach Rampy and Coach Wells will go out and talk to our offense. We always make a couple adjustments in our offensive line. Last week it was a good example. We talked about how that we run one route off our sprint out where we take the middle receiver vertical and run a little 5-yard out with our number 3 receiver, and we tried wrapping John Brown in behind the strong safety last week in the first half. We saw that they jumped that pretty hard along with our curl route with the corner, so that was our first touchdown that we threw in the third quarter. Is we made it look exactly like that and stuttered John a little bit and sent him vertically, and Zach made a great throw because he was really under some pressure, and made a great throw down the sideline, and once we got it to him, it was give me 6.
What about, what's it say then about your kids to apply those adjustments? You still have to go out and execute them.
Yeah, you don't want to do too much. You got to be careful about doing too much. You don't want to just all of a sudden draw up something that you haven't practiced. But for instance, that we call that route 71 or 72 wrap, and so the adjustment was we're going to run 71 or 72 wrap go, and that was plus you had to add a signal to it, so Zach saw the signal. And all that meant is we're going to take John, instead of wrapping him around, we're going to stutter him and go. And so nice adjustment by our coaches and nice execution by our players.
Yeah, it was. And, boy, did that get it going in the third quarter after each team punted. We'll step aside, take a break, come back with a trivia contest, another drawing, and we'll get into that dominant second half from Saturday. That and more when we come back on the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. What a throw and catch indeed. Zach Dickett to John Brown, touchdown number 2 of 3 for those two in the second half. 41-16 over Northwest Missouri in the national quarterfinals. Out of this break each show, we give you the Gorilla Nation Mobile Fan Club Vital Signs Trivia Contest. And Pitt State playing Delta State, Mississippi in the semis. Their official school nickname, the Statesmen. But what green fruit or vegetable became the unofficial mascot of the teams in the late 1980s? It's either artichoke, collard greens, okra, or zucchini. So you can, if you're a member of the Gorilla Nation Mobile Fan Club, you get a trivia question texted to you each Monday night throughout the school year. You can take part in Player of the Game voting in football and basketball season. And to join, text the word Gorilla Fan, all one word, to 66937. You'll get a confirmation text in return, and then this multiple choice question texted to you, and you have to be a member of the Gorilla Nation Mobile Fan Club to play along. And we'll give you the answer a little bit later once we know the winner. Let's draw another winner here for our $25 gift certificate to Chatters and the House of Wings. Again, dine-in only. It expires at the end of the calendar year, so make sure you get out. Henry Busett, come on down. That's I think those guys all put 3 names in each. They have to as often as they win. That's a pretty good table. You better get here early if you want to bring that, sit at that table, and you better bring a club too, a big club. Those in the animal kingdom we call it territorial. Those people at that table. So, well, Coach, some second half tied at 10. You get the ball out of the locker room, able to get one first down, have to kick it away, and then Northwest gets it, one first down, they kick it away, and then you go to work from your own 17 and that long pass. And it's not necessarily an ideal down and distance sometimes to try those things, but you kind of walked us through the adjustment to it. But boy, you could just see John emerge there, and it looked like Zach, maybe not a throw. He didn't want to put too much air under it.
Well, the amazing thing about it was the pressure we were getting off the edge. He kind of had to come up underneath the guy, and another guy coming from inside out on him, and so under the pressure that he had, it was a great throw because that's the thing that was pretty amazing too as far as the weather. Some of the throws he made in the weather I thought were just phenomenal because. Somebody said, "Does he have really big hands?" And I think his hands are normal, but he did a great job of throwing the ball. Had tight spirals on most of them, and of course then you worry too. In practice, you see, or before the game, you'd see in pregame where we'd throw the ball and it'd hit somebody and it almost like it would speed up because they'd hit it and it would be wet and it'd fly off of them.
Yeah.
And I think there maybe was one ball that we dropped during the game that we could have caught, but other than that, we did a tremendous job of catching the ball too.
Yeah, it was a good day for that, given the conditions. With that and the year that John Brown is having, I think I looked up today. I think right now he's fourth in single season yards and touchdowns. You've had Ronnie West and Gene Wamberg before him, and Jermaine Carpenter and Brian Prey have had big years for you. Where do you rank this year that John Brown's had?
Well, the thing about it is we had a period there in the middle of the season where we didn't get him the ball near enough. We had, and part of us game plan, part of us game plan stuff where what they were doing, made a little bit of a difference and how we were going to attack them and those type of things. But if you change things around a little bit and we throw it to him a little bit more in the middle of the season, he's going to have a tremendous year. And so he's having a great year. It's helped us in the run game. Again, you look back at last season and the addition of Andrew Castaneda and John Brown, what it's done for us offensively is really just really opened things up for us. And Zach's playing better than he did a year ago, but most of the rest of the guys are the same guys we had last year. And the other thing, I can't say enough about the adversity that our team has handled because, once again, at the beginning of the year we lost Josiah Cody, starting offensive lineman, Callan Archer, had blood clots in his lungs and blood clots, and he started 7 or 8 games for us last year, so he's another offensive lineman that we lost. Gavin Lutman was not able to play, and he was one of our best receivers last year. Solomon Watkins,
goes down.
Very good player, and lose him. And so, Chaz Smith, and, the list just goes on. And so our kids have just –
in the Division II, you never have enough depth, but if you can cope with that at all, it's a huge testament. You get a touchdown like that, 78-yard pass, it's on a 3rd and 5. You get your first lead of the day. We talk about getting a defensive stop to lift you. To get your first lead is one thing. When it's on a home run ball like that, how much does that add to it?
Well, it was a perfect time to call it, too, because 3rd and 5, we've ran that route on 3rd and 5 a bunch. They were going to set down on it. And a great time for Coach Rampy to call that play, I thought. And you go from – you're wondering if you're going to convert a 3rd down to a 78-yard touchdown. That's quite a swing in momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You'll take an 8-minute drive and demoralize them, but, boy, the home run ball gets everybody going. And was it ever? You and I were talking there about the crowd they had. They traveled well. They were loud early in the game, and your people came to life with that play, I think, in particular. But over 9,000 in a steady rain there on Saturday.
Unbelievable turnout by our community. Our fans have been awesome all year, and to see over 9,000 people there in those kind of conditions, that's just it shows you how important football is in Pittsburgh.
Well, and I'll use this as an example. I did this morning on a show we had that Willie Fritz is at Sam Houston State. They're undefeated, top seed in the country in the 1AA quarterfinals. They had 8,100 at home on Saturday, and reading everything on their website, they were thrilled with it. They just couldn't believe how electric it was and all of that. So to have 9,047 here in the pouring rain of a D2 game, it speaks wonders for the MIAA and the quality of product and as you mentioned, the community. You get the quick strike, and here we are talking about complimenting one side of the ball with the other. They're pinned at their own 18, 3 and out. Now you get it at your own 31. Field position starting to turn in your favor, and boy, your defense really started playing. What stands out is 20 rush yards allowed in the final 3 quarters. They have 125 in the first quarter. What changed?
I think, again, just defensively, just bearing down on what we were doing, and getting a bunch of bodies to the ball. Again, defensive line, phenomenal as far as their push they were getting up front, which was helping our linebackers. And to do that, to go from where we were in the first quarter to the last three quarters, man, you got to give those coaches and players a lot of credit. They really hung together, and man, I don't think there's any really one thing that we did different other than get a lot of people to the ball.
And I don't know, too, we could sit here and talk all night, I think, about a guy like Gus Toka. You get 3 sacks, and he is just relentless in his pressure. How much does he set the tone for that group with his big motor?
Gus went with me a week ago to the coaches show, and we get a chance to visit for 30 minutes down to Joplin and back and talk to him, and boy, he's just really so into it right now. And last year we kind of had a little motto. We talked about flipping the switch because Gus is such a great guy and just a really mild-mannered person, off the field. When it's time to go out there, boy, he's the one that you see. All of them do it, but Gus is the one. He flips the switch, and baby, you better get out of your stance, or he's going to run around you. And he's mad when he gets there. So, but he's been a great player for us.
And I thought the other day too, the game of just Cody Moore and J.R. Jones. Not a lot of tackles, but, man, are they being accountable.
Absolutely, and that's a big reason we were able to stop them, in the run game. They're doing their jobs, and those 2 defensive tackles, it's kind of like being an offensive lineman. You don't get near enough credit for what they do because they have to sit in there and battle. And you saw the aggressiveness, and J.R. Jones's helmet came off 4 or 5 times during the game because of the rain, and it was just a real aggressive game up inside. And Cody Moore was our defensive lineman of the week. Had a great effort and very aggressive and has done a tremendous job for us this year.
Yeah, big game. 4 tackles for him, 1 half for loss. JR is in there on 2 tackles, an assist on a tackle for loss, but those guys being accountable. And then the angles you take. We talked during the broadcast about staying in lane integrity and pass rush. That zone cutback they're running the other day, how important is it not to be out of control coming off the edge?
Yeah, very, very, very important. And, again, Northwest Missouri's offensive line, we felt like throughout the season was maybe the best that we saw all together collectively as a group. And, I think they only lose 1 offensive lineman, and they're just a really solid group. And our guys did a tremendous job of staying in their lanes and staying in the cutback lanes.
Gus Toka and Spencer Worthington combined for 15 tackles and 5 for loss. So those guys were very good off the edge in doing what they do. You're up, you get the 3 and out, and then a touchdown drive for you, and a little longer, 8 plays, 69 yards, but a 42-yard touchdown pass. This comes after a 4th and 1. Talk about the mindset of kind of going for the jugular there once you get the momentum on the conversion.
I thought one thing that our coaches have done the last couple of weeks, and again, I'm going to give Coach Rampy a lot of credit because that was his call all the way, and along with the last touchdown pass, which we argued about for a while on the phones. But I got to give him a lot of credit because when you've got that weapon there, and we just converted a 4th down, and it was a really good time again, I thought, to go for it. And so got to give him a lot of credit on recommending that play.
Up 24-10. This is at 3:10 of the 3rd quarter. And then a minute and change into the 4th quarter. There's another 3 and out by Northwest. You go down. You have to settle for a field goal. At the time, it was huge, though. It put you up 3 scores.
Yeah, and that's, we debated that, but just felt like at the time to go up 24, I think it was, right? And we were
get up 17, 3 scores, 27-10.
Get up 17. Again, yeah, that's a huge at that time. That was very important.
And then the next series, Elijah Olabode gets a pick on your sideline. I know he had to tightrope the sideline there to keep his feet in. What did you see the play he made?
Well, it was a nice job by him. The receiver ran a little read route and just didn't, which they have done some, where they run the comeback or come back and go, and he read the quarterback because the quarterback threw it, and he bobbled a little bit, but he was able to finally pull it in before he stepped out of bounds.
And he was first team all-conference. Talk about the year he's had overall.
Oh, Elijah's played awesome, and he's playing the expectations that we've had of him the last couple of years, and he's reached his potential, and he's another guy that's he's a senior, and we're going to miss him, but he's played extremely well for us.
Well, it was 27-10 with the ball and the momentum on your side and everything looking good. There'd be a couple of anxious moments in the fourth quarter. We'll step aside, take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about that final 15 minutes in the win over Northwest. That and more when we return to Chatters with Coach Beck right after this. Welcome back to Chatters Restaurant and Bar. That was unbelievable, 40-16. I don't know if in my wildest dreams I saw that coming. I told my wife, I woke up 5 o'clock hour Saturday morning, and I had a vision that Dickey to Briston Kelly in the back of the end zone with 12 seconds to play was a game-winning touchdown. And, we'll take 41-16 regardless. So good day for a lot of people. It's, 27-10. You get the pick. Set up pretty good. You get down there, another nice drive, and Mandel Dixon sticks it in for you. So momentum really on your side. Still with 9.5 minutes to play, 34-10. I'm sure you felt there's a lot of game left.
Yeah, Coach Wiemers and I both felt like that. That's still a lot of time, and when especially when they score in one play. So
good strategy.
That's just too much time in college football. The way as fast as people can score and manage the clock as well as they can manage the clock, it's just. Coach Rampy got on me about three minutes to go, saying, "Would you relax a little bit and enjoy this?" And I said, "No." And like Coach Wiemers is the same way. He's like, "I didn't feel good until there was like 40 seconds left."
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're up 34-10. That's 3 scores, 3 2-point conversions. They score in one play. With a wet ball, it's one mishandled snap, and they're back on it, and they believe they're going to win because of what they've done. So a big kick return, you squib it, and the kid ends up right in the middle of a pile and bounces it. And, about 4 stiff arms later and 1 lob pass, they're going to go for 2. I don't want to say breathe easier, but, boy, fortunately the 2-point conversion was dropped, and it's still a 3-score advantage.
Well, exactly. And then that's another time when Coach Rampy said, "All right, it's over." And I'm like, "No, it's not over. It's there's way too much time for us to." But, again, we stayed aggressive with our play call offensively and defensively, and I think that's our kids are playing aggressive, and our coaches are calling plays aggressive, which is good.
Well, you get it at the 21 after they had scored, and you're right down there, and then 4th and 4. Back shoulder throw to the end zone, and wide side of the field, your sideline, all those things are there. So I think a no-brainer to go for it there, and that really is going for the jugular then.
Yeah, it really was. This is the one we argued about a little bit, or discussed, I guess I should say, because I felt like I didn't want to kick a field goal at that time because you're afraid that you could get it blocked and then run it back and really change things. And so I wanted to try to keep it on the ground and get first down and grind more clock at the time. Coach Rampy says, "You know what? Let's throw the fade in the corner again. We got him one-on-one out there, and he's you get it up to him in the right spot, he's going to catch it." And so that great call. After we discussed a little bit, kind of made sense. Let's do that, and that was going for the jugular, though.
And you talk about that throw to the corner. You had 3 at the opposite end, 3 in a row, and didn't get a call and didn't get it completed. Are there different times to throw that ball more of a lob versus a back shoulder throw?
Yeah, after the first one, the second one, Zach probably should have put a little bit more air under it, and the third one he did. And we got contact on all 3 of them, and it's one of those things. It's probably a tough call by the officials, one way or the other, but there was a lot of contact on all 3 of them. The first one I thought maybe was really a lot of contact, and so all 3 of them are tough to defend, though. If you have to be out there playing man with your back turned against it, it's really tough. So you have to give that kid some credit. Boy, he played as good as you could possibly play it, and but we got one later.
And 41-16 with 3:13 to play, and then they try and drive it down there, fumble. Joe Uzzle recovers it, so you get it. I was asked last week in an interview what would it mean to beat them, and it's one thing, I guess, for the rivalry, but this is about extending the season now. So regardless of who you played, man, Final Four, what a great feeling.
Absolutely. People get too wrapped up in the Pitt State Northwest, game that, we got to beat Northwest, Bottom line is, now our goal changed here a couple of weeks ago. We no longer wanted to win a conference championship. Now our goal is to go win a national championship. And sometimes you wonder how realistic that your kids really believe in that when you first start, because there's 24 teams. But now we're down to the point where, hey, there's 4 teams left. We win this game, we're going to go play for the national championship. So our kids are really into it.
You talked about the balance on offense, 261 on the ground, 266 through the air. That's on 12 completions. Zach runs for 147, throws for that. Talk about the day he had.
I thought it was, as good a game as he could possibly have. He just tremendous leadership, ran the ball very aggressively, threw the ball very good, and made a couple of really, really good decisions on not throwing it. And those kind of decisions sometimes go unnoticed. But, Zach Dickey and John Brown were our players of the game, offensive back-wise, and Aaron Kolich was our offensive lineman of the week. And just a great effort by both sides of the ball, great effort by all of our players.
Plus 16 and a half minutes time of possession over the final 3 quarters after -4 in the first quarter. And I asked Nate Dreiling, part of the pregame conversation we had, what's it come down to from your perspective? And he said 3rd downs, Northwest 4 of 14.
Again, Coach Weimers and our coaches spend a lot of time working on their cards on 3rd downs and going over those kind of things. And again, great execution by our defensive guys to be able to do that to Northwest. As explosive as they are offensively, unbelievable effort on their part.
Mandel Dixon, 4 carries, 6 yards, 4 touchdowns.
He's not doing too bad. Maybe we ought to give him the ball a little bit more.
Out at midfield, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe from the 20 or 30 or something. But, no, he's another one. Again, he's learning as he goes, and he's a big physical kid that can do some things. And we've been able to get him the ball, and he's done a good job with it.
All right, we'll step aside, take our final break. National semis at home on Saturday night. We'll talk about Delta State and that matchup with Coach Beck when we return to Chatters right after this. Welcome back to Chatters and the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek back with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck. Earlier we gave you the Gorilla Nation Mobile Fan Club Vital Signs Trivia Contest about Delta State, their official nickname, the Statesman, but the school, some students have adopted a fruit or vegetable as the unofficial mascot in the 1980s, and the options were artichoke, collard greens, okra, or zucchini, and the option is C. The answer is C, okra. Since the late 1980s, Delta State student body has embraced a mascot that depicts a piece of okra wearing boxing gloves and brandishing a fierce expression. Fighting okra, that's big down there in that part of the country with jambalaya and whatever else they put in it. Regardless, it's a fruit, not a vegetable. So little food 101 there. We'll draw a final winner here of a $25 gift certificate to Chatters in the House of Wings. Dine-in only, expires at the end of the calendar year. Linda Collar up there in the bar area. Come on down. And first appearance of the year, and look at there, going home a winner. So that's a good one. Phil Scott, sorry, buddy. Maybe next week. Phil's only won about 8 times this year, so Phil's had a good run of things here at Chatters. Well, Coach, Delta State in Saturday. I don't think they're calling for rain or wind or anything like that yet, but going to be dry and cold, it looks like. Night game, which is pretty rare, but get some TV involved. They'll do some different things. But how nice is it to be at home for a 3rd week in a row?
It's unbelievable. Zach and I were talking yesterday, and he said, how about getting a bye in 3 home games? How much better could you have it? And you couldn't have it any better. I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity. Delta State's going to bring a very athletic team in here that they're able to score points and play great defense. I mean, the Final 4 teams, you're going to have great teams. It doesn't matter who it is; they're going to be great teams. And Delta State's, definitely they've got some experience. They won a national championship in 2000. They were very well coached and aggressive. They get after it. So it'll take a great effort. But, boy, it sure is nice to play here instead of having to go to Delta State.
They were national runner-up a year ago. Their roster is littered with transfers from all over the country. So you look at that, and you hope the cold weather is a factor, I guess, in our favor. But offensively, their quarterback, learning one of 3 national finalists for the Harlan Hill Award. Pretty good numbers, some turnovers. Offensively, spreading the ball around with their running game. Have 3 different backs, I think between 400 and 600 yards. What do they look like on offense?
They're talented. I mean, they really are. You know, Coach Weimer's and the guys have watched a lot more video on them that side of the ball than I have. But you know, they'll play running some one back and some two back stuff, mainly one back and throw it around. But their backs are really good backs, and you know, I think you know, we feel like our defensive line is really good, and that'll give us a chance to get some penetration and give everybody else a chance. So. You know, again, when you get to the Final Four, they're all going to be really talented.
Yeah, they spread it around. I think I read 7 or 8 guys, at least 20 receptions. What's their quarterback? What kind of player does he look like?
You know, I think, you know, Coach Weimer's probably said that he feels like maybe a lot like the Central Missouri quarterback in the fact that he's hard to get to. He's not going to take a sack. He's going to get rid of the ball. He's going to have, you know, he knows when to get rid of it. And so it's really hard to get to him, which makes it tough. And your defensive line, they have to know they're gonna go rush it all day long. You know, we got to be able to stop the run like we try to do against everybody. Got to be able to stop the run first, and then try to force them to be one-dimensional. And then defensive line, you know, then it's time for them to take over.
Their offense, you know, some turnover problems. Hopefully that rears its head. Defensively, they're not dominant numbers. They're solid. They do have quite a few takeaways. You tell me a stud linebacker that's only a sophomore, but how about overall on defense? What do they look like?
Well, the thing that sticks out is their speed. Their 3 defensive linemen are really big and strong, aggressive. They play a 3-man front, which we don't see a lot of you know, around here right now. We see mainly 4-man front teams, either 4-2 or 4-3, and they're more of a 3-3 type team. Again, they're 3 big guys. Can cause some problems on your inside zone running stuff that we do. And then in the back 8 of them are all very athletic and get to the ball very, very fast. You just don't see many people get very long run or very long pass play on them because they get so many people to the ball so quick. So every game they've played in has been really close. Their losses were really close. So they're a team that, you know, they play just where they need to, you know, to play to stay in the game.
You look at this and down to the Final Four. I asked you before the second Washburn game, are you concerned about having a team with not any playoff experience? Boy, now you're getting really close. The farther you go, more hype builds. Are you concerned about potential distractions that your kids hear more and more from on campus or the community?
No, I don't think so. I think our kids have all year long really kind of kept things in perspective and hey, it's going to be another home game for us, and you know, there's a lot at stake. And you know, last week when we were getting ready to play Northwest, Coach Dorrell had mentioned during the week that all the pressure was on us. And, you know, when you get to this point, there is pressure. There's pressure to win because, you know, if you win this one, you go to the national championship game. And Delta State has that in mind, and we have that in mind.
What do you think it comes down to Saturday?
I think it's the same things as last week. I think the 3 things for us, we're good enough on defense that if we can not turn the ball over offensively, that will make a huge difference on the outcome. Special teams, it was kind of marginal whether or not we won the special teams. I thought last week that I really felt like we were going to get a great return. I thought we were going to get a great punt return. The punt was never quite right for John, and we didn't get it. But we've got enough talent on our special teams that's going to be an area that we've got to win. And then defensively, play with the passion and execution that we've played with. If we continue to play like that, we'll be in every game we play in.
Well, let's hope it on Saturday evening. Kickoff 6:05. Our coverage will begin at 5. Get your tickets at the ticket office, 8:30 to 4 through Friday of this week. For Coach Tim Beck, I'm Eddie Lomshek. Thanks as always for being with us. And for studio producer Cam Koenig, Chiefs Kingdom comes your way at 7:05. Thanks for listening.